Here, you're ready for your dose of reality. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dr. Quack podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Quack, and
I'm the important one, Mr. Mayhem. And before we talk about Bracket D, we do have to bring up something that happened here at the office.
breaking news.
For those of you that watched our Bash at the Beach 2000 review, you notice how we had the video going along and all of a sudden there was a black spot? Well, that's when our editor, he watches the pay-per-views while he does the edit so that he can understand what the meaning of what we're talking about is. And he quit. He put a big F you middle finger, said F you, I quit. And so we had to cut that out, and we got somebody else to come in just to fix, to put the backdrop of the rest of the way through. So we're in the middle of hiring, so we apologize to those of you for a less than stellar product because we had somebody decided to, they knew what they were getting into, that we were going to review some garbage, and obviously they couldn't handle it. That's how bad Bash at the Beach 2000 was. So for those of you that saw that Friday, we apologize to you. And now, please, let's get started with what's important today, Bracket D.
That's right. This is very stellar. Bracket D, the final bracket of the first round here. And we have got some really tough matchups here. I'm going to break this down for you. Our first matchup here. Ole Anderson taking on badass Billy Gunn.
Oh my God, old school, new school. This will be a really, two guys that mostly were known for their tag team wrestling. They both did not have, they both held singles gold. Neither one of them were stellar singles wrestlers. So this will be a really interesting old school tag team versus new school, new age outlaw tag team. So this will be a tough one. I think it's going to be very tough.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a classic. I can really feel it. Going to be real tight. I can see in the voting here.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Our next one here, Kamala, the Ugandan Giant against the Ultimo Dragon.
Oh, that's a very interesting match. Kamala, never a great technician, but the gimmick, he was never required to be a technician.
Very unconventional.
Against a guy who has the record for the most singles titles ever held at the same time, the Ultimo Dragon, who held the J9, which was the Super 8 plus the Cruiserweight. There was a total of 9 Cruiserweight titles across Japan that he held, all at the same time. So, while Ultimo is a bit smaller, Kamala was never the greatest against guys who were super small. He was good with the medium-sized guys that made those matches work where they power. Ultimo never had power. So this would be a really interesting. Do you think that Ultimo runs him into the ground or Kamala catches him and eats it?
Yeah, you tell us, folks, because I'm curious on your thoughts on this. This is going to be quite a matchup here. Like I said, it does not get any easier. You have the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, taking on Mikey Whipwreck.
Wow. I think one of the biggest names that probably will make it into the Elite Eight, Ted DiBiase, taking on the guy who was the ultimate underdog, won multiple titles against people he was not considered to win against.
And he did win the ECW World title when it was not recognized.
Yes, he did. And tag team title with Tajiri on multiple occasions.
And Cactus Jack.
Yes, so this is another one that, does Ted DiBiase's tactical brilliance win out? Or does Mikey Whipwreck steal the quick win that comes out of nowhere? Please tell us what you think.
Yeah. Our next one here, Chief Wahoo McDaniels taking on Adrian Adonis.
Ooh, wow. Chief Wahoo McDaniels known for almost his entire career, a perennial United States heavyweight champion in the NWA. Thunderous chops, tough, no-nonsense guy. And for those of you that don't remember older versions of Adrian Adonis, only remember him in the flower shop. Adrian Adonis was the tough kid from New York. He held tag titles with Dick Murdoch in the WWF.
And Jesse Ventura.
And he held it with Jesse Ventura. So he was a double tough guy. He just, later on in his career, he had some health problems and his body fell apart on him and he gained a lot of weight. So before you start voting, take a look at some old Adrian Adonis before you just vote away the flower shop Adrian Adonis.
I'm telling you, that is going to be a tough matchup. And like I said, it does not get any easier here. The franchise, Shane Douglas taking on Stan Lane.
In real life, that's a match I would have probably paid money to see. Well, Stan Lane is mostly known for his tag team time. Long before that, even before he was with the Fabulous Ones with Steve Keirn, he was a very respected singles wrestler.
Yeah.
He decided that he wanted to travel around tag teams because in the old days, everybody traveled together, so it saved him some money, so he formed a tag team, and he stayed with the tag team wrestling because he found he was good at it. But he was a very accomplished independent singles wrestler.
Oh yeah, I mean, he won the ECW title.
Yep. And Shane Douglas, you know, he's another one of those that won the ECW world title before it was a world title recognized by Pro Wrestling Illustrated. So these are two former guys that held the title that became recognized as a world title later, going at it right here in this one. So I'm curious to see what you say on this one too.
Yeah, I mean, Terry Taylor against Bad News Wade Barrett.
Wow. Two guys who do a lot of work behind the scenes in WWF. Barrett, his career kind of got cut short because of injuries, and Terry Taylor's career got cut short because he has no personality.
You leave the Red Rooster alone.
I was about to say ignore the Red Rooster part, and look at Terry Taylor's feud with Ric Flair in the NWA.
Yeah.
Terry Taylor is a brilliant tactician. He just has that unfortunate face that fans just don't like. But that doesn't take away from his skill in any way.
Yeah, he was talented in the ring. This would be a great matchup to watch. Going down the line here, the Big Boss Man taking on Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff.
Oof. Wow. Two guys that were kind of known as bodyguards at various points of their career. Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff, part of the main event of WrestleMania 1.
Should have been a world champion.
A guy who should have been a world champion multiple times. Just had unfortunate bad luck. And Big Boss Man's no slouch. He held the UWF heavyweight title. He held the Mid-South heavyweight title. So two guys who put together a really good singles career. I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, Boss Man, what can I say? You know, both these guys are Hall of Famers, so this is definitely going to be a tough match to watch, you know, to see how it comes down here, the nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
Mr. Wrestling number 2 against Jesse the Body Ventura.
Two. Sorry, I'm a huge Mr. Wrestling number 2 fan. I modeled my knee lift in my wrestling career after Mr. Wrestling number 2. Always around the World Television and the U.S. title. He and Wahoo McDaniels carried it back and forth for a while. Jesse Ventura, well, most people know him now as that brilliant commentator or as the governor.
Yes.
Jesse Ventura was no slouch in the ring. So, well, I personally would pick Mr. Wrestling number 2. It's not about what I think. It's not about what he thinks. It's about what you think.
Right.
We're one vote. We have 181 people in this group. So one vote doesn't make the whole match. You tell us who wins.
So I'm telling you, the Body, he is definitely was tough back in the 70s and 80s with the WWF.
Yes.
You know, and going into the WWF. I mean, it was really great to watch him. Wrist Wrestling 2, of course, you know, his talent's out there as well. Should be a classic. Dino Bravo taking on Brian Adams, also known as Crush.
Two power guys, one who specifically was known for his power, Dino Bravo with the Canada's Strongest Man gimmick, And the unfortunate...
He lifted that 712 pounds, didn't he?
Well, Jesse Ventura said he gave 3 pounds of pressure when he did this. Regardless of that horrible thing from Royal Rumble 88, Dino Bravo was still a very powerful, very strong man. And unfortunately, he was killed tragically.
Yes.
And who knows how much further his career could have still got, what else he could have still accomplished in the ring. And it's going to be tough. Brian Adams kind of was his own worst enemy, but don't let it... He got part of Demolition for a reason, and they accepted him. It wasn't like Heidenreich, who was hated in the Road Warriors. Axe and Smash liked Crush and recommended him. So he's a good worker.
Yeah, both these guys. This is going to be a solid match here,
Solid.
I'm telling you. Speaking of Road Warriors, our next match, Road Warrior Hawk against the one-man gang.
Wow.
Where's the beef? It's in there.
Yeah, wow. Hawk, strong man. His matches with Ric Flair, back when Bill Apter in the NWA used to sit down with Ric Flair and they analyzed the opponents for Ric Flair. Ric Flair had nothing but good things to say about Road Warrior Hawk as a singles wrestler. And the one-man gang, another guy who held the Mid-South title, the Universal Heavyweight title. Forget Akeem, look at the one-man gang. We didn't list Akeem here, although if you would like to consider George Gray's version of Akeem, by all means do, but we specifically hope you choose to look at the one-man gang. This should be a classic.
And remember, he advanced to the semifinals in that WrestleMania 4 tournament.
Yeah, but a classic. 2 guys with power, 1 guy with super power, and another guy with just tremendous power. This is going to be a tough match.
Yeah, this is definitely a barn burner here. Al Snow taking on Chris Canyon. We covered him recently as Positively Canyon.
Yeah, and the less we say about that, the better. I want to say that Chris Canyon and Al Snow are probably 2 of the most underrated guys out there. They always got saddled with bad gimmicks. They were always company guys. They were willing to do whatever they were asked without question. But Al Snow down in Ohio Valley was a trainer for many years for the World Wrestling Federation. Chris Canyon did some training for the power plant to bring out people like Goldberg. So 2 guys who were tremendous workers in the ring. Take it on here in the first round. This would be, we always talk about the 1-hour match in each of the brackets. This would be the 1-hour match for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a classic there. I mean, it's just tough to say. It's a coin flip on this one to me. Bam Bam Bigelow against Haku, also known as Ming.
These are 2 legitimately tough, dangerous men. They both were known for being very tough outside of the ring. And while this match I don't think would last very long, it would be the old 80s brass knucks type of, there would be a lot of blood, there would be a lot of punching, and there'd be a lot of people cheering.
Yeah, I mean, will you see greetings from Asbury Park in this match? I don't know. Because Bam Bam, he was definitely full of agility for a big man.
Yes, and Haku was no slouch at a little over 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Throwing that big savate kick, and he was coming off the top rope. So this is 2 big guys with a lot of agility and a lot of toughness.
Yeah, moving on here. Magnum TA taking on Perry Saturn. No Boppy with him.
Wow. Magnum TA, who before his car accident was slated to be a world champion. He was about a year away from it. So a car accident cost him a world heavyweight title run and put him in this tournament. But that doesn't knock what he brought to the ring. The I Quit match that he had with Tully Blanchard on our 85 review.
Yeah.
Incredible. Top-notch match. So Magnum TA is no slouch. And Perry Saturn. He came over with the Radicals, his time with the Eliminators, with John Cronus.
And former Army Ranger.
So these are 2 technical masters going at in this ring. Perry Saturn got saddled at the end with a bad career. He had some demons, so he kind of got punished. But look at his older stuff in ECW.
Yeah,
this is a tight match.
Watch the Eliminators and check him out in the flock.
Yes.
You know, that Ravens flock, definitely, he got a lot of credit for helping carrying that group. Our next matchup here, Fit Finley against the Patriot, Del Wilkes.
Oof. Del Wilkes has kind of been forgotten a little bit in wrestling. He started out in the AWA as a guy known as the Trooper, who used to, when the match was over, he'd give you a ticket. And he was a face. He was a fun guy to watch. Then he developed the Patriot gimmick and came over and wore a mask in the WWF. So he was a really talented guy. He just kind of faded into obscurity because of whatever. Right? There was no real rhyme or reason why he disappeared. And who was he going against again?
Del Wilkes, he is going against Fit Finley.
And Fit Finley, everybody knows Fit Finley. You're Dave Finley, you're the Belfast Bruiser. Double tough in the ring. You see him coming out there with the shillelagh with the blonde hair. He does have one knock. He unfortunately introduced Hornswoggle to all of us.
But he was also responsible for the women's division. He was actually the head trainer there during the Attitude Era. That's where you got to see a lot of likes of Molly Holly, Trish Stratus, you know, Jacqueline, the workers. I'm not talking about Stacy Keibler. She was just there for looks.
Right. So while he did bring Hornswoggle into the ring, he also brought us Trish Stratus, and he fine-tuned Lita and Molly Holly. So please don't punish him for Hornswoggle. Give this match some real consideration. These are two tough men.
Yeah, this is going to be a good fight here, I'm telling you. Speaking of good fights, Art Barr against Lance Storm.
Wow. I grew up watching Art Barr in the Pacific Northwest. He kind of got into some legal trouble and left the Pacific Northwest. And then made his way to WCW as the Juicer for a very short, very horrible gimmick, being a Beetlejuice knockoff. And then made his career down in Mexico as the American Love Machine. In fact, he was the one that Eddie Guerrero credits with the Frog Splash. Was done by Art Barr. And Lance Storm, always double tough, multiple time champion, every place he went. The WCW, he held 3 titles.
Came out of the Stu Hart dungeon.
Brought him over to WWF, he was holding titles. He never had that personality that people wanted to take a chance on him to give him a world title run. But you know what? Personality doesn't matter here. This is all about skill and about what the fans think. So this will be a tight match.
Yeah, I definitely think this is definitely going to be one to watch here. And our final match. Now this is something else here. We've got Conan taking on Dr. D, David Schultz.
Ouch. For those of you that have never seen the Dark Side of the Ring, there is an episode with Dr. D, David Schultz. He famously slapped John Stossel.
Yes, he did.
So that kind of railroaded his career, but Dr. D, David Schultz, after his wrestling career ended, went on to be a bounty hunter. And he's still bounty hunting today at 74 years old.
Yeah. He was tough.
Taking on a guy who really didn't catch on that well here in the United States, but was a huge star in Mexico, Conan. So this is old, tough, grizzled veteran against the new, tough Mexican luchador. I think it's a really good, interesting clash of styles.
Yeah, Conan had the Tequila Sunrise, that half crab with the armbar. You know, I mean, I really loved that move when he was in the NWO days. You know, and then he won the United States title.
Yes.
You know, so I mean, he was definitely a competitor in this. Dave Schultz, I think, would have lasted longer if that incident wouldn't have happened. I think he may have been a world champion.
I think so too. He was actually getting ready for an Intercontinental title run right shortly before the infamous slapping incident.
Yeah. So there we go, folks. There is Bracket D. Get ready to vote here, coming out Tuesday, 9 a.m. Central Time. I'm telling you, the second round, this is where you're going to see some videos next week, because we are going to combine A and B for next week's video.
Yes, and coming up Thursday, we've got our WrestleMania 5 review.
Yeah.
Wednesday, we've got our review of Royal Rumble, so we're starting the WWF's road to WrestleMania. We're already on that road. So we got a lot of videos coming up, and in the next week or two, we're going to have our finish of our analysis. Does Coco Beware belong in the WWE Hall of Fame?
Yeah, get ready for cold cases. I'm your host, Dr. Quack.
And I'm the important one, Mr. Mayhem. Remember, like, share, subscribe. We want you to get the name out there. Tell your friends to come check us out if you like what we have to say.
And I'm out.